So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the last session of our class. It's tutorial 13 instead of lecture. Wait. Okay, so the exam review part A we have covered in the last class, and today, as I said, still few as in terms of revision, few units are there, 3 or 4 units. But remember, like the part B of the exam is a case study. We know that, so probably the more emphasis will be how to uh, solve the case study, which will be a part of your NTEM exam. Let me mute everyone. Okay. So we had a discussion on the learning of outcomes of this course last time. So giving a kind of composition for your final exam, it's a 3 hours, 10 minutes, including the 10 minutes of reading time. So 3 hours, you have to attempt all the questions. A small recap, part A consists of 8 questions. Out of 8, you have to answer 4, including both part A and like subsection like A and B. Whereas the part B is a kind of business case, a small one-page business case, less than one page in length, and there will be 3 different parts. So the part A consists of 40 marks, whereas the part B is for the 30 marks. So there will be 3 different questions in the part B. Question number 9, 9A, 9B, and 9C. Okay. We had a discussion on the importance of memory add, which is permitted back to back A4 page of the double-sided notes. It's suggested to use the handwritten one instead of having the type printout. Okay, some more exam tips, especially uh, the part B. Part B is a case study, mini case study. So what I will suggest you to attempt part B before part A, if possible. Uh, Otherwise, it's entirely up to you. But sometimes the part B is like kind of a more practical, specific oriented case or a real world example, real life example. So maybe it will be good to start with the part B, but it's entirely up to you. Time yourself when reading the practice case study. Highlight the keywords. Maybe you can use the some sort of highlighters or background, different font size, even in your question paper to highlight the keywords, because you are not sitting for the hard copy exam, face-to-face exam. So even you can highlight some of the keywords while reading the case study on using some of the pointers online, just for your benefits. Okay, begin each questions on the phrase space. Probably I have not repeated this one before. I will suggest you to answer not only the part B, even for the part A, try to answer each part of the question, each question from a phrase space. And since we are in the online exam mode, so online documents doesn't require you to have, it's easy, like just give a proper space. And whenever if suppose you are attempting the question number first A and first B, so start first A front, like from the top, for the part B, again you can start from the top, the next page from the top. So it's better for me. It will provide more clarity. And if running out of time, write in a bullet points or the key points. If you think that the time is out and you're running a sort of time, so probably 3 hours is like more than enough. But still, if you think that maybe some, not so, everyone one is fast in terms of typing and all, thinking, synthesizing, and writing altogether, it takes time. So if you think that less time is there, so instead of leaving a particular question or particular part, I'll suggest you to write at least the key bullet points so that at least partially I can evaluate you on that basis. Out of 3 hours, 10 minutes we have for the reading, instruction and all. And out of 3 hours, what I will suggest you, and I communicated the same thing in the last class as well, 1.5 hours you can think about for the part A, whereas 1 hour 15 minutes for the part B, and the remaining 15 you can leave it in order to have a kind of proper structuring, aligning, and proper line spacing or the font sizes. It's up to you to what extent you are just using it. Okay, probably on the first page I have not repeated this one in the last class. Because the exam seats finally it will go to the NIC management for the record keeping. So write down your name, student ID in the first page itself. And even if it will be suggested that save your file with your name or and the NIC ID number. But you must provide your name and the ID number in your answer sheet. And clearly write which questions you are answering. I mean to say, like, if you are using the phrase pages for each and every answer, that will be enough. So clearly mention. It's like if it is a part B, you should mention it. Otherwise, you won't get a proper marks in case of confusion. So the part B, as I said, it's a mini case, and you will have 3 questions. I think exactly I put it here. All 3 questions are here in front of you. The case is not there with you now, but all 3 questions will be same for the part B. So part B, 9A, 9B, and 9C, you are supposed to attempt all 3 questions, all 3 parts. In total, it is 30 marks, 25 and 5. So the part like 9A, the first part will ask you to conduct a situation analysis of the business in terms of that particular mini case. You need to do some sort of situational analysis, including such element as market and customer situation, marketing mix situation, competitor situation, competitive analysis, and macro environment situation. And then finally, you have to summarize all the information into a SWOT analysis, into a SWOT: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. And that carries that will carry 20 marks. So you can think about situation analysis. We have done the situation. Your group assignment part 2 was actually a situation analysis report, where more recently you have done this one. So I'm assuming that all the key points will be in your mind around the market and customer situation, marketing mix situation, or competitive analysis, or the marketing environment situation. So that will be at 20 marks. So huge marks, but you need to devote a good amount of time. You need to write at least paragraphs covering all these aspects. So these are like just a suggestive one. It should include such a few of the elements which was there, but if you think out of box, if you can include few more analysis, more conceptual things and all, you are free to write. So just a kind of, these are the indication what you are supposed to cover, but you can add few more, but depending on the time and how clearly or cleverly you are trying to manage your time. Finally, after doing all these things, you have to provide a SWOT analysis. That is, I will suggest you to, for the SWOT analysis, try to have 4 different paragraphs. One is for the strength, one is for weaknesses, one is for the threat, and one is for the, and the fourth one is for the this one for your opportunities. So that it will be clearly. Otherwise, even if you're writing a single paragraph for the SWOT analysis, it could be a bigger one, but try not to mix the strength and weaknesses together. So give me a clarity, like clearly you need to separate strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat in the SWOT analysis. Part B, 9, part B will be select one opportunity identified in your SWOT analysis. So basis on the SWOT analysis, you might have come up with so many items, elements regarding the SWOT, regarding the opportunities. So what we are suggesting you that from that case analysis, you have to identify one particular opportunities, and then you have to outline any changes that might need to be made to the marketing mix in order to exploit that opportunity. So maybe from the cases, as I said, strength, weaknesses, threat, and opportunities, you have to bring it out from the case. And once you have identified that set of opportunities, especially pick up one prominent strat like opportunities which the mini cases or the company can think about exploring it further in the future, in the coming year or coming days. So you just have to pick up that one, and then you have to build suggest in terms of argument, like what sort of changes will be preferable uh, or advantages in terms of all the seven marketing mix, like keeping that seven marketing mix in mind. So it will carry only 5 marks, but you need to synthesize your answer in a very good manner. Try to synthesize, I mean to say, in a very precise manner. It should not take your much time, because this question is only carries 5 marks, but the synthesis has to be there proper. It should not be unnecessary descriptive, rather than it has to be analytical in terms of critical thinking and all. So more practical oriented. You can practice, even before the exam you can write. I will suggest you to practice writing these answers, which are like more critical and analytical in nature. Entirely up to you, I'm just giving a kind of suggestion. The part C, again, it carries 5 marks, and it talks about describing the positioning and differentiation strategy you would advise for the business. So over here is your recommendation in terms of positioning and differentiation strategy. If you remember, in the week 11 or week 10 or week 11, we have covered the value proposition in detail, where I started with the positioning, then we moved to the differentiation, and then we moved to the value proposition, and finally we ended having a discussion on the unique value proposition. So you can bring those things, those some of those concepts which we have covered in terms of the classroom discussion, you can bring or relate this case with those concepts. But again, 5 marks, so you need to be very, very precise. You need to be very, very concise in writing your argument. What you could see at the bottom, this point is very, very important. Although you should not make unrealistic assumption about the case, regarding the case, but to certain extent, what it says that to certain extent, if you are allowed to make assumption to certain extent, but it should not be completely out of the case. So to certain extent, you can make an assumption where there is a insufficient information provided. However, you need to state what these are. So it's better to use the word. If whenever you make an assumption, you just start writing in the sentences itself, use the word like, by the assumption of this argument, or by assuming that company is doing this or may do this in the future. So by assuming as an assumption something, you need to, so that clearly gives me an indication that you made an assumption, and on that basis you are building the arguments in order to analyze, or in order to synthesize, or in order to provide the suggestion, justification, or the kind of recommendation. So you are free to allow to use such assumption, but it has to be clearly mentioned. But don't make ambiguous or unclear or unrealistic assumption. It has to be close to the, if the mini case is about, suppose, big organization like multinationals, you should not make an assumption of SMEs, or maybe vice versa. So it has to be realistic. It has to be realistic, that you should keep in mind. Is that clear? Like all these three components for the case study discussion, is that clear to you, or is there any doubt? You can use the chat box, or if you have any doubt, you can unmute and speak. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, I'm assuming that it is clear for you because uh, remember, as I said, 9A, B, and C, exact the same question will be there. Maybe little bit changes in wording, but it will be like this only. So I think it's a kind of only the case study is not there in video, but the questions which will be from the case is clearly in front of you. Okay, one small case I try to give you, although we had a good discussion on the different case study analysis. We talked about the methodology, some of the steps which are involved in analyzing the case. But since it is a mini case, so I have come up with one more cases, and this case is probably more close to the kind of question will be asked in your exam. So I'm not sure, are you willing to go ahead with this case, or you wanted to have a look on this case? Maybe I can provide you, I can give you 5 minutes. Those who are interested, just read this case. It's a very small case. I mean, mini cases, mini case. So, and it helps you to understand, try to look at like what is there in the case and what issues or what challenges they are asking and what sort of question can come up from this case. So this case is first you read this one if possible. Just take 2 to 3 minutes. Just read this case, then we'll have a small discussion. Okay, I hope you had a small, you went through, I mean, this case quickly. And so altogether, since it is a mini case, you could see that It's a very short in length, and probably 4 different paragraphs are given to you. Are you able to find out some of the aspects around the marketing mix in terms of, for example, product and services? Yes, the paragraph 1 clearly talks about what are their offerings. Second piece, suppose pricing. Is there any hint regarding the pricing in this case? Clearly not. Clearly not. So maybe you can make some assumption regarding their pricing. You are allowed to do that. Not necessarily all the 7 P's will be covered in the case, but try to identify. Or maybe you try to read and relate with some of the points and make an assumption that pricing could be in terms of competitive pricing. It depends on the kind of situation or what are the boundary conditions given in this case. What about the promotion? Yes, they talk about the promotion, advertising. There is a small advertisement in the telephone directory and yellow pages. So they do cover the aspects around the promotion. What about the placement? Yes, they talk about the placement, like upmarket, suburb, urban shopping mall, where the customers they go, and so they talk about the placement. There are a few points regarding the placement is covered. Since this is a kind of service industry, because they provide the catering services to the customer as well. So yes, service components, you will get the some of the key points around the process, physical evidence, and the people, because it is mentioned that two of the staffs are engaged for at least half their working hours in the service. So there are components around. You could see that 7, they have covered the marketing mix, 7 piece of the marketing mix. Partially it is covered in this case. If you could see the paragraph second, yes, it talks about some of the revenues, profitability, performance, some of the aspects of this small business. Keep in mind, your assumption has to be all around, particularly in this case, it has to be all around the small business case. The paragraph third talks about some of the issues, like the companies has some of the issues in terms of they don't have the loyal suppliers. There is a issue regarding the uh, continuous supply of the raw materials, because they don't have the long-term contracts with the suppliers. And there are other issues like marketing is not a strong point for the firm. Means the company is not having a kind of customer centric approach. So they are just so you have to build around those keeping those points in mind. You have to build the arguments. The business has never engaged in, or what it says, that formal business planning. So even we have in chapter 12, we covered the aspects of the corporate planning and the marketing strategy. So it says that this small business, they doesn't have any specific planning and the strategy or marketing strategy. Or maybe you could remember the set of goals and objectives we talked about. So mostly the big firms, they follow all those things, but since it is a small firm, so that is a kind of constraint. Remember, while discussing the case, we talked about the constraint. You have to build the arguments, and all the justification has to be provided around the constraint. So one of the constraint is the scale of this business is small. So keep that one in mind while having a kind of suggestion or recommendation. Paragraph 4 talks about, especially you could see this is the kind of major issue in this case, that although the moment the big multinationals they enter to any of the local economy, it creates a kind of freight, kind of fear in the small SMEs and the small businesses, startups. So for them it will be really tough to survive if multinationals are entering into the same market. So in this case, government has like decided to enter into the same market and trying to position themselves in the same mall. So that is the kind of great challenge for the management, for the owner of this or founder of this small business. And clearly it says that within the 6 months, the competitor is going to enter full-fledged work with the full-fledged services. And the advantage the competitors will bring, because of the big amount of resources, big amount of manpower, and also the networking and all. Probably they will be able to uh, reduce the prices to a great extent. So with keeping that in mind, the owner of the firm, Maxine's, are worried, and they can't retaliate, and neither they can sell without a large loss. So you think about some of the options they have given as a founder. What are the options they have? Either they can think about, competing with these competitors, big multinationals. Otherwise, they can think about quitting the business or just selling the business without large loss. So there are multiple options for what, as a founder, think yourself as as the owner of this company, and think about what are the options you are available, and then build up around that and find out what recommendation you will make. So you remember the questions we had here, all the three questions. Now you go back and see, are you able to cover these aspects from this case or not? Or does the case indicates some of the factors around this? So what about the market and customer situation? Yes, they talked about the market and customer aspects. Marketing mix situation, which I tried to cover partially. Competitor situation, yes, they talked about, even it is a mini case, but they talked about the competitive challenges. And some of the macro environment situation, we need to find out like what demographic challenges, or what sort of political or legal or environmental uh, kind of challenges in the macro environment situation. So you could relate this one with this case. Remember, it's a macro environment situation, not the micro environment. So you need to be careful in terms of, you should not write anything. You can include it in the separate paragraphs. As I said, these are just a kind of indication you have to cover, but you can add few more around this situation analysis, like micro environment also you can think about, and you can. And finally, based on that, all this information, you have to come up with the kind of SWOT analysis. Clearly, you have to understand, you have to write in the key points. Better to write the SWOT analysis, not in the big paragraphs. Try to make it in the key points, like what are the strength of the company. We analyze what are the weaknesses. Being a weak being a kind of weaknesses is like they don't have the loyal supplier. That could be a kind of business, the weaknesses. Opportunities, you have to think about what sort of opportunities they could have. Even, if you could remember the Porter's three different strategy, from cost leadership, differentiation, and niche approach. So maybe even this company is very small, but they can have a kind of very niche approach, maybe targeting to a particular segment, something like that. That could be a kind of opportunities. Or since the company is very small, any decision, if they are trying to bring it out, maybe easy to implement, because the small firm, they have less hierarchy, and the founders generally take the decision. So the quick decision, well, whenever the decision is made, it will be easy to implement. So that could be a kind of opportunities. What about the threat? Yes, the competitor is entering into the same location, so that could be a kind of threat. So hopefully with this case analysis, you are able to relate some of the key points over here. Select one of the opportunities. So, and then you do the opportunity analysis, build the argument around that. What's necessary changes you will do in terms of product, in terms of pricing, in terms of location, promotion, and all, right. You have to bring the argument around that. And then finally, you have to recommend in terms of what is the suitable positioning, what will be the suitable positioning strategy or differentiation strategy. Why these are important? Because the competitors are in the same market, and the competitors is a big competitor in terms of multinationals. So they are coming with the lots of networking resources and manpower. So to what extent, how you will be like, you will be able to differentiate, and what sort of this, what will be the sources of those differentiation? We have seen that differentiation could be along the product line, or could be in terms of positioning. So think about that one. So I think with this case, some of the what I was trying to communicate to you is clear, that you need to I'm sorry, based on this case, you have to explore all the three parts, which is in the part of, some part B in the final term exam. So before going ahead with the different chapters, and suggesting you some more regarding the memory aid or tips, just let me know. Is there anything which you wanted to have it? Anything which is not clear to you, or you wanted to need more clarity around this case study analysis? Just let me know.
It's all good.
Okay. For others, did you analyze this case to a certain extent? Ethan, are you here? Ethan Lu. Donimala, are you here? Donimala?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yes. So did you analyze this case, a small case?
I just joined in like 5 minutes ago.
Okay. So you failed to analyze this
So
case? Okay. So you entered very late. Okay. So what I was trying to cover with a small case, I was trying to tell you guys that these three questions are important for you, because exactly the question will be same in the exam for the part B, but the cases will be different. So assuming that this case study part is clear, I'm moving ahead now. Okay. So we understood the importance of the situation analysis, and we have done a great job. You have done a great job in terms of doing the assignment, group work assignment. I hope every one of you have every one of you has received the feedback which I have provided in the same documents. So those as a leader who submitted the assignment, you are morally responsible to communicate to all your members the kind of feedback which I have give to you. So the importance of situation analysis in terms of it's a cycle of activities that fits with the organizational strategic plan. So it helps you to analyze the marketing opportunities, select the target market segment. So in the case, I forgot to discuss about the STP also, like segmentation, targeting, positioning. But one of the questions they talk about the part C talk about the positioning and differentiation strategy. So you can bring the discussion around the segmentation, targeting, and positioning all together in the part C. It's up to you how you are providing your justification, bringing the clarity in your answer. Developing marketing mix and implementing and controlling marketing efforts. So what are the items like generally we cover in the market and customer situation? Some sort of product type or industry analysis, target market profile, segmentation basis of the variable, different bases of the segmentation, I mean to say, and the consumer behavior issue. So you can bring some of the aspects also from the consumer buying perspective. The and you could relate with the kind of the mini cases, and also it's like in the situation analysis while doing the market and customer situation analysis, you can bring the discussion around the segmentation as well. What do you think? Especially in this case, what do you think? What was the basis of segmentation? I think they discuss about which segment they are targeting. In this mini case, they talked about which particular case. I think it says that middle class customer, the needs of you could see the third line. It says that middle class customer. So, but what do you think in terms of are you able to relate with the different bases of customer which we taught in the class, which we discussed in the class? So you could try to relate in this analysis. Extended marketing mix. I think now you are much more familiar with all the 7 P's of marketing. So assume that always kind of product and services always provided with the in terms of offering. So the relevance of marketing mix in terms of 7 P's are important, very, very important. For the competitive analysis, you have covered the points of parity and points of differences. I have seen in all the reports, you try to bring the arguments or discussion around the point of similarities and point of differences. I've seen that. So clearly in the mini case also, you need to identify the current and potential customer. It depends. Maybe the company case talk about more than one customer. So whatever they are in the case, you need to build around that one. Points of parity and points of differences are very, very important. So, in terms of providing a recommendation or suggestion for the positioning and differentiation for the differentiation and positioning also, you can think about what sort of point of differences you wanted to have. And these similarities and differences could be target market, marketing mix element, and others. We have seen, we had a discussion on the uh, point of similarity and point of parity and point of differences. We had a discussion. So keep those points, like what are the points can be kind of parity, and what the uniqueness in terms of the point of differences. So try to make a kind of notes on that one, small notes, so that it can help you in during your exam. For the macro environment situation, as I said, the question is directly, it is there in the question that you need to do some sort of macro environment analysis, not the micro. So you need to identify some of the key elements from the case: demographic, economic, natural, technological, or political, or cultural aspects. You have to bring it from the case. Probably not every part will be covered in the case, so you can make a certain assumption also, but you need to clearly mention that one. Maybe like, since if in the case which we analyzed, it was like more, you'll see that more points will be around the demographic and cultural life. So, but probably the less one around the technology or the natural or the political. So every cases can have a kind of combination of certain forces, macro forces. So you need to bring those into the discussion with in the greater detail, but uh, you can make an assumption for other forces. SWOT analysis, no need to make a kind of this framework, but strength, provide the key points; weaknesses, provide the key points; opportunity, again you have to provide 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. It depends on your logical thinking, how many points you are trying to bring out from the case. But remember, the case you should not devote more than 75 minutes, 1 hour 15 minutes. Try to close the case, including your writing as well as synthesizing and reading cases and everything, including. So 75 minutes you try to devote. Don't try to give more time at the beginning. Maybe at the end you have the another 15 minutes, you can come back and uh, make it more proper, but try to finish it within the initial 75 minutes. And 90 minutes you try to devote in the part A, which carries 40 marks, whereas the part B is only for 30 marks. So as I said, opportunities, you try to bring 2 or 3 different opportunities from the case and pick up one opportunity from this case, and then you build up around that one for the part B question, 9B. In terms of the positioning strategy and differentiation. So positioning strategy, identifying a positional direction, consists of the 4 steps. Identify a set of possible competitive advantage on which to build a position. Select the right competitive advantage. Select overall positioning strategy. Developing a positioning strategy. So maybe these key points will help you to answer the part C, 9C. What was that? Question 9C. Describe the positioning and differentiation strategy you would advise or recommend for the business. So for that, some of the key points you may think about: your arguments, your answer, your justification has to be around these four steps, like identifying the possible competitive source of competitive advantage, then identifying the right combination of those competitive advantages, selecting the overall positioning strategy, developing the positioning statement. So you can bring the discussion around this. And in terms of differentiation, identifying possible value differences. So yeah, one way we have seen in the class, we had a discussion on the perceptual mapping. Remember, for your firm and for your competitor firms, we were like, as a marketeer, we were trying to bring 2 or 3 attributes, service attributes or the product attributes, and then we were trying to position your offering into market and your competitor offering. So that we have covered in the perceptual mapping. We have done it in the class, so you can bring the discussion around this one. What is important again? I think this point is very important. So if one student, suppose, is writing an answer in a very generic way, very simple way, I mean to say they are not using some sort of theoretical, they are not bringing any theoretical discussion which we have learned in the class. But other student, if they are providing more insight, writing the arguments and then talking about some theories, some perspectives, some frameworks, some perceptual mapping, some Maslow hierarchy of needs. If in that way, if other student is writing, remember, the second student answer will be more, they deserve more and more marks in terms of, because the kind of input they are, he or she is providing. So remember that one in your mind. So as I said, think about, you can make a list of all the framework or maybe the different models, or like consumer buying behavior 5 steps. So you think about all these things and make a note in your memory aid, so that you can use those while writing your answer, while building arguments around that. So that will be a useful tips. I'm suggesting you to use that one. So perceptual mapping analysis to identify the position. So as I said, in terms of differentiation, try to clearly state like which one or two different elements through which you will try to position yourself in compared to the competitors. In this case, it was a multinational. So you need to build an argument in your support. By the strength, you have to expose more and more, build up more and more arguments around the strength, and try to suggest how you will minimize the weaknesses or the threats as well. So try to have a kind of concise writing as well. As I said, writing unnecessary and too much is not going to give you good marks. So you need to balance and keep in mind the time management. Brand position for the department stores, we have seen in these like on the basis of different attributes. So the company is trying to position. So in the same way, you can, if while suggesting the positioning strategy, you can suggest like on these attributes we will try to, so you can play around that framework and all. Differentiation, we have seen that differentiation can be made across the product line, maybe the service offering, maybe in terms of employees who are serving images, brand, and there are others, like other elements of the different or points of the differentiation strategy. So try to build the argument around this one. These are the like some direction for in order to attempt the question, like the part B. Especially today's discussion, I'm trying to give you the inputs, suggestion regarding how to crack the answer, how to build the answer for the part B, which carries 30 marks. You could have a kind of, these are the different elements of the positioning strategy, maybe in terms of product attributes, product class, benefits offered, uses occasions against the competitor. So you try to balance it, like where it's a kind of point of differentiation, kind of like what benefits you will offer which your competitors will not offer. So you can make an assumption over here. Maybe the cultural issues, cultural local issues, local cultural aspects you can bring here. Maybe the multinationals who are entering into the market, especially in this case, maybe he has not done much kind of the initial homework in terms of analyzing the customer needs, custom, religion, and all in that particular mall or in that particular area. So I mean, you have to build the argument in your support. So for building the argument, you can make an assumption, but clearly you need to state that. Clearly you need to state that. That is important here. I think that's all about the case study part B, exam part B. Good luck for your final exam, but before that, is there anything which you would like to add into this discussion? Okay, Amanda, I'd like to, if it is allowed to use my handwritten notes from the notebook during the exam. I didn't get you, Amanda. Could you repeat this one?
Because I actually have notes in my notebook, so I just would like to ask if that's allowed during exam. Because maybe there'll be questions if I'm looking elsewhere when I'm looking actually at my notebook.
Let me go through the instruction which I have given to you,
All right.
because I wanted to see, is it a closed book or open book, to what extent. So just hang on.
Yeah.
I'm going through the final exam instruction. Maybe you can read as well. I'm trying to. Okay. So foundation, yeah. Instruction, it says that the examination is worth 35% of the total 9 questions. Condition, there is online formal examination. This is a restricted open book examination.
So what does that exactly mean?
I think you only the memory aid. I mean, are you asking for the hard copy version or the soft copy version?
I have a hard copy version of my
So
notes.
for the hard copy, only one, like 2 pages are allowed back to back.
Okay.
So I will suggest you what you can do. You can convert it into the soft copy and keep it in the as a soft copy in your system.
Oh, in my system. Okay. So I'll just write it down in.
Exactly. You should not spread all the outputs, because it's a kind of restricted open book. So
All right.
it's sort of like only one pages. The 2 pages are allowed in front of you. So you're not supposed to open books and all around you.
Okay, because I was just confused with the restricted open thing.
Yes, yes. So it's better to keep it stored in terms of soft one, and then you can read it while attempting the questions or writing the kind of thing. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, you should not open any like more resources around you, papers around you. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
sure. Any issues?
Teacher.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So during the exam, we have to open our camera, right? So do we need to do a screen share or just open the camera?
You need to open the camera, not the screen. You should not.
So only the camera, right?
Exactly, camera. And this is mandatory.
Okay.
As I suggested you, thanks for taking this question once again, raising this one. This is very important. What I will suggest, if you are not having a kind of camera in your system, you just go to the NIC, take the permission, sit there or give the exam. But without camera, you are not supposed to. Nobody will allow you. I'm not sure.
Can I use the camera on my phone?
Then it has to be open for 3 years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if that is fine, then go ahead with that one. But it should be a reliable source. You should not suddenly, because all your exam activities will be recorded and will be finally submitted to NIC management. So you should not give any sort of confusion which can hamper your entrance.
All right, I got you.
You need to be just careful and be dependent on the reliable source. If any cases, if you think that you don't have the reliable sources of internet, low bandwidth and all, please move and find out the right place. Even you can write to the NIC, they will accommodate you, they will suggest you what to do in that case.
All right, I got you.
Thank you.
Thanks
for raising this question. It will be fully recorded, all the 3 hours, so that anybody can go later on and check activities in terms of any suspicious activity will come. They can go and check your activities, what kind of thing. And keep the camera on for the 3 hours completely. And I will suggest you to keep ready one answer sheet. I mean the Microsoft Word file. Write down your name, cover, name, roll number, everything. Keep ready, and you can make a format for your answers, like question A, because everything is in front of you. So it's open now.
So we can't leave early before the exam, yeah? We have to sit the whole 3 hours?
Yes, but you can leave early. But yes, because the window, I think once again I need to show that how from where you will submit the. This one is again important because some of you have not attended last class. In the last class, I talked about which window you have to submit. I could show you here. Are you able to see, guy? Over here, there is a icon. In assessment 3, you have final term exam. Turnitin. You need to submit your answer sheet through this window. Final term exam 8:30 to 11:45. So you're supposed to submit in between this time. So once you will start by 8:30, initial 10 minutes will be for the instruction reading, and then 8:40 to 11:45, 3 hours. You can submit any time, but only through this window. Did you get that? There is no other way of submission. You should not email me that this is my answer. Every submission will go through this window. And why? Since this is coming through the Turnitin, be careful in terms of exact copying your answer from any other resources, web resources. It will be easily captured here, and probably you will miss a very good marks on that one. So even if you're reading and try to build up in your own sentence, paraphrase it, rewrite it in your own sentences in order to get a good marks. Make sense? So this is the window where you have to submit. On the Moodle, go to the Foundation of Marketing. In the assessment 3, just down at below the group assignment where you have submitted, we have the final term exam. So any time in between 8:40 to 11:40, 3 hours, whenever you think that you have done, you can submit it. And just let me know through the email, but I will try to be there if for the invigilation, if in case if any emergency happens, that is another case, but I will try to be there to assist you guys. Anything else?
I think that's all.
Okay, so with that note, good luck to everyone. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thanks for being together, and thanks for participating from the beginning to till date. So thanks for everything, and hopefully we'll see you again somewhere. Good luck in your life. Best wishes for your life as well. Keep going, do well, and communicate me. I will be always happy. See you then. With that note, I'm just closing everything. Best of luck.
Yes, teacher.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.
Teacher.
Bye.